The recording has started. So we are in Tech 120, Section 50, and we are Group 7. We are run by Professor Gabrielle Aquino. My name is Samantha Rodriguez. I'm a freshman in Aerospace Engineering Technology.
I'm Benjamin Jeunesse. I'm a freshman in Unmanned Aerial Systems.
And I'm Annabelle Hebert. I'm a freshman in Professional Flight.
And I'm Emily Vasilopoulos, and I'm a freshman in User Experience Design.
And for our introduction, bees are being drastically affected by the use of pesticides and deforestation. Bees need to be healthy in order to help the ecosystem thrive and grow. Bee losses have been seen to range from 5 to 7% in a good year, and in a bad year as high as 15 to 20%. However, statistical research shows this to jump up to 30 to 40% in recent years due to the increase in the use of herbicides and pesticides, which create a worsening atmosphere in health and the safety of bees. Nevertheless, with the innovative creation of bee chain, we seek to minimize the unhealthiness of bees and to alter the course of this growing process.
Some of our stakeholders are environmentalists who work towards protecting the environment, and other animals and ecosystems. And then amateur or professional beekeepers who actually depend on the bees for a living, and then other apiary owners, such as the Purdue Bee Lab, who do research on the bees and also own their own beehives.
So starting with our research, our goal for the interviews was to identify some of those stakeholder groups and interview people within those. So we started with Dr. Kent Foster. He's the owner of the Wildcat Creek Apiary and professor of Department of Agricultural Economics. Through the interview with Dr. Foster, we learned a lot about the loss of healthy plants. So the loss of habitats for bees and plants available for bees to pollinate. That's due a lot to pesticides as well as the lack of fencing in Indiana, because a lot of plants grow up on the fencing. Wendy Geisler was the second person we interviewed. She is an amateur beekeeper and a member of the Pikes Peak Beekeeping Association. We learned a lot about environmental factors that affect the bees, such as colony, collapse disorder, mites, and pesticides. Those were some very important things to learn about because we were at that point still trying to figure out what we could do to help the bees and where a lot of those causes for the decline in bee population were coming from. The third person that was interviewed was Maddie Carpenter. She's a graduate student in the Purdue Apiary. And with that interview, we learned a lot about ways to help, like protecting the land and waiting to mow until the clover is gone, because bees really benefit from clover. These interviews are very helpful to identify things that we could think about to help bees.
A common theme we found in the literature reviews is there are a lot of sick and dying bees. A large portion of the bees dying off are sick with diseases that are only curable by human intervention. So, for example, the first source talks about all the leading reasons for death being pesticides, colony collapse disorder, and neonicotinoids. And the second source talks about chronic bee paralysis virus, which is an extremely contagious disease that bees can have that wipes out entire hives, and there's no known cure or substantial answer to this issue. And the third article talks about the controversies of human intervention in saving the bees, because a lot of modern and technological advancements can be perceived as harming the environment more so than helping, because it's not letting nature run its course.
Next we have observations. The first observation is the two pictures on the left. This is Westview's Circle. This location is a high regulated neighborhood that is instructed to have strict rules regarding the treatment of yards and how green or bare a yard has to be. Some of these rules include the treating of grass with herbicides and pesticides to kill off the weeds and unwanted insects, and the spraying of green coloring. This is harmful to the local pollinators due to the limiting of food supply that stems from the treatment. Few of the others would be Myrtle Drive. This red oak on the bottom picture is previously surrounded by a mix of wildflowers indigenous to Indiana. Unfortunately, the invasive species of brown ivy crowded out the wildflowers, eventually killing them. Owners have previously tried weed killer, and little did they know, completely killed any plant in the area. Due to the herb able to distinguish between the weed, grass, and flowers. This allows the invasive species to grow because of the invasive plant's ability to withstand the kill rate of herbicide, but it is not the same with the wildflowers. And lastly is the cracked lawn. The lawn, as seen in the top picture, even on a cloudy day, was very evident underground growing wasp population due to the increased bothering of students on the lawn. These pests aid in the killing of the bee population, as well as most other pollinators, and are not as crucial to the local ecosystem as the bee.
Some existing solutions that are already out there are BuzzBox, which is a little device you could put into the slats of your beehive, and it monitors the health of your beehive and monitors the weather and the temperature and the humidity. Then the OS Beehives app kind of does the same thing as the Buzz, but you can just monitor the hive directly from your phone outside of the hive. Just hold your phone up to the hive, and it also helps beekeepers keep track of the data that comes from the recordings of the bees. Then the Bee Savior are little cards that contain sugar solutions that that when someone finds an exhausted bee on the ground, they are able to open one of those sugar solution packets and allow the bee to drink from it, which lets the bee, which gives the bee a little energy and allows it to return to either the hive or just continue on its journey to find more flowers.
Our proposed solution is called the Bee Chain. So as you can see from our sketches, the initial sketches, it's a keychain, so anybody can take it with them anywhere. It's a little box that contains strips of biodegradable material, which include wildflower seeds inside of the paper. The seed strips will also hold the sugar water for bees to drink, so there will be a little pull tab on the strip, and then a little pocket where there's the sugar water. This is designed for the everyday person to use, so it's going to be a lot more effective, and anybody can use it.
Proposed design of the bee chain meets all of our constraints and criteria. Environmentally friendly. The keychain makes the tabs extremely accessible at all times. The sugar packets are effective at their job, and the seed tabs will grow and give back to the environment. The tab and if used properly and enough, the bee chain could have a substantial impact on the environment.
And for a finalized prototype, we have the Bee Chain. This innovative seed water strip is a biodegradable strip with encased seeds indigenous to Indiana. The sugar water mixture that can be injected with antibiotics is held in a beeswax solution and topped with a foil strip used instead of cling wrap for reusable testing. The actual keychain is created using a 3D printer. This keychain would be created using recycled plastic and is capable of holding up to 15 seed water strips. This keychain would also sport a weather-resistant strip, hook, and chain in order to clasp the keys. However, these parts were removed in order to test the containers.
So I'm testing and data collection that we put the B chain through in the seed strips was whether the seed strip, the biodegradable seed strip, would be able to hold the sugar solution, and then once the seed strip was planted, would it grow? And then for the keychain, we tested usable.
So the data analysis and implications. What did the testing mean? So we saw that the seed growing test was successful. It means that it is effective, and the paper itself is environmentally friendly, and it gives back to the environment, so that qualified and met a lot of our criteria and constraints. The wax on the seed paper, it was effective in holding liquid, and it met the usability constraint.
So the next steps for our product, to further advance the usability and quality of this product, we need to edit the physical shape, color, and look of the product. At the moment, the shape of the keychain is rather boxy and unappealing. So for people to use it, it needs to have an attractive design for it to be desirable on the market. We also need to mass produce more tabs in a higher quality. So when more keychains are bought, there can be a supply of refills of the tabs for consumers to buy. And finally, we need to get the B chain in people's pockets. The only way for the solution to be successful is for people to have it and use it to help save the bee population.
These are our resources. And this is the end. Thank you for listening.